Alton, Illinois is a suburb of St. Louis. Its residents take pride in their quiet streets, going about their daily routines, taking out the trash, and heading to work under the canopy of a typical Midwestern summer. On the morning of June 9th, that routine broke. A local contractor throwing scraps into a red dumpster behind a smoke shop noticed a pile of discarded clothes, a pair of red shoes stained with blood, and a serrated knife. He grabbed the blade, realizing the handle was coated in blood. Meanwhile, Heidi Noel was standing outside a nearby apartment. She hadn't heard from her daughter, Liese Dodd, in 15 hours. Liese was 22 years old, saving for a medical career, and 8 months pregnant with a baby girl her family had nicknamed Bean. When Heidi let herself into the apartment, the neighbors saw her step back out, visibly shaking. The 911 dispatcher asked what was going on. Heidi answered, "My daughter's boyfriend killed her. He chopped her head off." Police arrived to find Liese's lifeless body in her bedroom. Her head was missing. A crime of this magnitude leaves a community asking how such a brutal act could happen. To find the answer, investigators had to look past the blood-stained dumpster and reconstruct the specific, escalating behaviors that defined the final 2 years of Liese's life. This timeline outlines the well-documented escalation cycle of domestic abuse, beginning with Phase 1, isolation and normalization. Early on, DeAndre exhibited textbook isolating behaviors, moving Liese out to a tent by Lake Litchfield and cutting her off from her safety net. Soon, her co-workers at the local Dairy Queen began noticing the physical warnings. Liese showed up to work with severe bruising and dark black eyes, attributing the injuries to her dog jumping up and hitting her. The relationship entered Phase 2, the cycle of violence. This stage is characterized by violent peaks followed by periods of reconciliation and false calm. During one of these peaks in July 2021, Liese landed in the hospital after DeAndre broke her nose. 2 months later, she texted her boss, pleading for a safe place to stay. "My boyfriend beat me again. He's threatened before to harm us." Yet they reunited. The cycle exerts a profound psychological grip. Following an assault, the abuser often displays intense remorse. Witnesses once saw DeAndre repeatedly punching himself in the face after an argument on the street. This manipulation creates a temporary sense of security that the violence has finally peaked. This cycle of violence and reconciliation creates a trap. Each time Liese returned, DeAndre's control was reinforced, and the violence became a normalized part of their shared reality until the next, more severe peak. This chart illustrates the sharp statistical spike in domestic homicide risk when a victim becomes pregnant. External stressors act as catalysts, accelerating the existing cycle of violence. The second major stressor was DeAndre's rapidly deteriorating mental state. He texted a friend describing the overwhelming pressure he felt. "My cup filled up and now it's got to spill over. I don't know how to healthfully let out emotions without snapping." On June 7th, DeAndre vanished. Liese, pregnant and deeply stressed, spent the next 24 hours frantically texting his family, reviewing apartment security footage, and admitting to her mother that her anxiety had led to self-harm. She was desperate for stability. When DeAndre finally returned at 9:11 p.m. on June 8th, she picked him up. 30 minutes later, neighbors below them noticed the couple's front door was cracked open. They heard muffled screams, followed by the entire apartment shaking. Then came a series of loud, heavy thuds. The neighbors later testified it sounded exactly like a man steadily chopping wood. After 5 or 6 heavy beats, the screaming stopped entirely. At 11:57 p.m., CCTV caught DeAndre exiting the apartment. He had changed his clothes, put on a face covering, and carried a white laundry basket. The CCTV footage reveals a transition from a violent outburst to cold, methodical calculation. By carrying that laundry basket into the night, DeAndre attempted to reclaim total control over the scene, the evidence, and the woman he had murdered. DeAndre stole Liese's car and arrived at his mother's house at 2:30 a.m. His subsequent actions were highly erratic, but purposeful. He discarded his bloody clothes in a trash can, handed Liese's ID and bank cards to his grandmother, and inexplicably shaved off his dreadlocks. The police tracked him down and arrested him later that afternoon. He was charged with first-degree murder. The legal proceedings had a complex wall regarding the death of Liese's unborn child. A ruling by the Illinois Supreme Court dictated that an unborn child could not be legally considered a second murder victim for the purpose of seeking a life sentence, capping the potential penalty. DeAndre's family publicly stated that while his actions were monstrous, they were the result of a severe, untreated mental illness that the healthcare system repeatedly ignored. Liese's mother stood firm on a different truth. Mental illness does not absolve an individual from accountability for committing a calculated atrocity. In January 2025, DeAndre Holloway was sentenced to 60 years in prison to be served consecutively. While the sentence ensures he will likely die behind bars, it offers no remedy for the systemic failures that allowed years of visible bruises, hospital visits, and terrifying threats to go unchecked. Standing before the courtroom, Heidi Noel delivered a precise, unyielding message to the public. She used her daughter's tragedy as a mandate for others to recognize the escalation before the breaking point. She told the audience, if they continually disrespect your boundaries, make demeaning comments, and control your every movement, this is abuse. If someone threatens to end your life, believe them. Inside the apartment on the night of the murder, investigators found Liese's hand resting on a book about pregnancy. In her final moments, she was focused on her unborn daughter. Liese once shared a poem on her social media that read, "You begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes open. You learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and decorate your own soul, instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers." A prison conviction closes the legal file on DeAndre Holloway. True justice relies on recognizing your own value, identifying the anatomy of escalation early, and finding the quiet, absolute resolve to walk away.